Hi, welcome to LSAT Freedom. In this video, we're going to look at 5 ways to increase your LSAT score. There are a number of things you can do to increase your score. This video is going to look at 5 of those things. The first thing you can do to increase your LSAT score is to simulate the exam. And by this, we mean preparing for the LSAT as if it's the real thing. So, for instance, we know that the LSAT is administered at 8:30 in the morning, unless you're taking it in June, in which case you're taking it in the afternoon. We also know that on test day, the LSAT has 5 sections, because one of those sections is the dreaded experimental section. So, what you need to do when you're preparing for this exam is simulate these conditions. So if you're taking the LSAT at 8:30 in the morning, take a practice exam at 8:30 in the morning. Do it as if it's the real thing. The other thing you need to do is take a practice exam and insert an additional section so that you have not 4 sections, but 5, with a 5th section serving as an experimental section. This will get you used to actual test day conditions, and then do this multiple times as exam day approaches. Another helpful thing to do is to take a practice exam in a noisy environment, such as a coffee shop or a restaurant. This will get you accustomed to a noisier environment, an environment that's maybe not as hospitable as you want. But the point is to practice under test day conditions, and to do that multiple times before you take the actual exam. The second thing you can do to increase your LSAT score is to learn the logical principles that underlie the exam. We all know what a statement is, but we don't know how it functions on the LSAT. And if you don't know what a converse is, or what an inverse is of a statement, or what a contrapositive is, then you need to take the time to learn these logical principles and how they manifest themselves on the exam. One way to do it is to pick up a book and learn these things. Another way is to take an LSAT prep course that teaches you these logical principles and how they come up on the exam. I mean, the basics are, it may seem a little intimidating when you start talking about and learning about about logic in general and the specific principles that come up on the exam. But once you start learning them, you'll realize that you can essentially memorize them, and that will help you recognize them on the exam. The third thing you can do to increase your LSAT score is don't skim or speed read when you're taking the exam. This can be very tempting, especially on the reading comprehension section or on logical reasoning section, but you need to resist that temptation. Every word has a purpose on the LSAT, whether it's a reading comprehension passage or a question on logical reasoning or elsewhere. Pay attention to every word and digest everything as you read it, because everything has meaning. Don't assume that something is unimportant. The fourth thing you can do to increase your LSAT score is you can skip around and answer easier questions. So, for instance, if you are on question number 3 and you recognize that it's a little bit more difficult than what you're used to or what you're good at, you can skip ahead to question 6 if you find that question 6 is easier. And you can do this again and again, but make sure that you return to the questions that you skipped and that you've remembered to answer them. The fifth thing you can do to increase your LSAT score is diagram the logic games. Create a diagram that will take the text that's on the paper and visualize it for yourself. This will help you synthesize the information and move through it more quickly. The best way to do this is find an empty space on the test booklet and put the diagram there. It doesn't have to be anything formal or anything sophisticated. It just needs to be a diagram of what the game is, the rules, and how everything interacts. And then when you come across a question that either presents a new scenario or a new rule that you need to apply to that game, diagram it in a small area right next to the answer choices. And as you do all this, do not erase any of this information as you proceed from question to question, because this information will help you for other questions within that logic game. So with these 5 tips, you should be able to increase your LSAT score. Remember to visit us at www.lsatfreedom.com.